thought to be.
It's like something about like perceived reality or something.
I think you're all set.
All right, this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Finance Committee. Council Trumbull, other Finance Committee members present are Council Dean, Council Fournier, Council Leonard, Council Yakavaga. We also have Council Pelletier, Council Hawes, and Council Schaefer, and Council Leonard. I think we named everybody here tonight, and we got Finance Director Little, and the first item is bids on the agenda.
All right, our first item is for parking management contract. I will say there is, I do have a typo. My agenda cover sheet has the wrong price on there. The memo is correct. So we, in the fall of last year, we went out to bid for parking management services. This would be for our downtown parking lots, and for the airport lots, including the shuttle lot. We received 5 responses, and the staff has spent, several months poring over them. The, prices range from $562,152 to $835,368. And that includes, proposed discounts on some of the bids. We have approximately 3,700 parking spaces between our downtown area parking lots and the airport. Those consist of on-street, off-street, short and long-term parking and the shuttle lot at the airport. And this management contract calls for the daily management of those lots, collecting the fees, parking enforcement, maintenance, and as well as financial reporting to both the city and the airport. So after the review and calling clients for recommendations, staff is recommending that we award the contract to PCI Municipal Services, LLC. With approval from this committee tonight, it will be on full council meeting later tonight for final approval. And once that's done, we'll start the process, which will be a transition, which may take 60 to 90 days to fully transition from our current provider, because this would be a new provider for these services.
Couple questions, there was an alternate bid, line in there. What was the alternate bid?
The alternate bid was to also provide, I think it was plowing services
Okay.
for those lots.
Okay.
Snow plowing.
I've got a couple of questions. How long has Republic Parking been the vendor? And there was another company before them, which I think was bought by Republic, is that correct?
Yes, well, Reef bought Republic, but Republic bought, I don't remember the name.
Mhm. So basically, this is a vendor we've
Like
had for
15
about
or
20
20
years. This is a
years.
vendor we've had about 20 years. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Okay, and my question, they could provide a discount if they wanted to, if they got both services, they could have, or couldn't, some did, some didn't.
Right.
He said didn't, but they still were the overall low bidder. My question is, why didn't we not split the bid and give, because as I understand it, we're not dissatisfied with Republic. Why wouldn't we keep them in the downtown? Because it seems like they still would be the low bidder on downtown, where PCI would be the low bidder on the airport.
Well, there is, we have had some concerns with Republic. There are some issues, some of the issues relate to the airport, with using the shuttle lot. Their employees are supposed to use, and drive the shuttles back and forth to the lot. COVID sort of hampered that some. They were no longer able to provide staffing, so the airport staff had to fill up those slots. That still hasn't fully gone back. There were some customer service issues on both city side and the airport side, and there's also reporting issues of the finances. We do have, when they report their financial information to us, there are times when the information doesn't agree with the money that was deposited into the bank. And at times it can take a while for that to get reconciled with them.
But it's always reconciled eventually.
Not always, no.
So I didn't know we never heard about that.
So there was some other concerns besides just the cost of the operation. So staff looked at keeping them combined, dealing with one company for all the services. So there could be, if needed to, staff could be swapped back and forth as needed between the two locations. So it seemed in the best interest to maintain one company. And where PCI came in as the low bidder, that was the recommendation, especially with all of the calls to their current clients, that they received all of the best recommendations as a parking management company.
Any other questions or motion on this item?
Happy to make a motion.
Second.
Any other discussion?
I just want to have a couple of points of clarification. So the thing to be thoughtful of is our current provider. We're happy with our local staff, and I believe part of the contract is, even if we change providers, that they work with our existing staff who's on site. The struggles that we've encountered with what's now Reef Parking is at the corporate level. They're in a structure that doesn't really align sort of with what I will call communities of our size. That's where the structures come in. Just add some additional.
All right. And without any objection, this will be recommended for approval at council level tonight.
Thank you. And our next item tonight is final design services for the Ohio Street Bridge. This is a recommendation to award that contract to Haley Ward. And the reason that we're looking at giving it to Haley Ward is they were already contracted to do the preliminary design. And part of that agreement was that when we were ready to do the final design, we would look at keeping that same company to keep consistency throughout the project. As long as we were happy with them, we were very happy with Haley Ward. They've done several final design services for us for bridges. They did the Willard 4 Bridge, the Lower Pedestrian Bridge, deck repair project, the Finson Road Bridge. And the Finson Road is a very similar project to the Ohio Street. They have proposed a project fee of $98,500, which does include $35,000 of construction services, which we may be able to do in-house depending on our staffing levels at the time we're ready to do that. So we'll be able to get some savings there. But we're very happy with Haley Ward and the work that they have done for us so far. So we'd like to continue with them. So we're looking for authorization to go ahead and move forward with Haley Ward on the final design of the Ohio Street Bridge for $98,500.
This is the bridge, this is just in from Griffin Road a little bit on Ohio Street.
It is,
Yes.
yeah, over First Street.
Questions, discussion, motion?
Motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This is approved.
Thank you.
Objection. Thank you. Yes. Quarterly interim financials.
So our next item is a review of some financials. This is through September of 23. And I laid it out comparing it to last year. If we break our budget down through September would be 25% of our budget in theory would have been gone by at that point. So I identified how much of the budget each section of revenues, looking at revenues first, compared to that and provided explanations down at the bottom as to why we may be more or less than the 25%. And for like the property taxes, that's the first line. Property taxes are posted as received revenue when we commit for the taxes. So therefore, it always looks like we're pretty much fully met the budget at that point. Because what it does, we put the revenue and then we create a receivable, and then as taxes come in, we offset against the receivable. The difference that why we're not at 100% there is that also includes excise tax and other taxes that are in that category. But that's why it looks so high, is because we do that posting first. The fines, forfeits, and penalties is a little bit under a 10% variance from the 25. We have seen an increase in false alarm fees during fiscal year 24, but at this time of the year, we have a decrease in animal impound fees. There's not really a standard time period as when these fees occur, because it depends on when false alarms happen or we have to impound animals. So it is slightly under where we would think that it may be, but it is higher than where we were at this point last year. The other categories are pretty much within an acceptable variance of where we think we would be, other than the last category, which is other. And that is transfers from found balance or insurance settlement, sale of assets, those types of things. And those are typically recorded during the end of the year. So that will stay low until we get closer to the June for our current fiscal year, and that's when that will be closer to meeting that budget. Is there any questions on revenues? Okay, and move on to the expenditure side. Again, same thing, broken out by category of the various departments. And so highlight the ones that are a little bit beyond where we're expecting to be. Central services is one. They're looking only at meeting 7% of their expenditure budget. That is due to the timing of when they bill other departments. There was a large bill to the school department that got posted within this time period, but the expenses aren't really reflected. So that's why it looks like they're really low. So it's not really that it's off that much, but it is just timing of how things got posted. The motor pool, same way, that looks like they're way off on the budget, but that is because when we have other departments that use vehicles and they get charged annually for a rental cost of those vehicles. And those get charged at the beginning of the year. And then as the expenses roll in and the work is done on those vehicles, that will get offset throughout as we go up through the year. The insurance line is another one. And those are, we pay all of the insurance costs out of this line item in the general fund, and then we allocate it out to the other funds. That allocation hadn't taken place yet. So again, that's why that's 281% over budget. The economic development is slightly under. It's pretty much in line with where it was last year, but that's due to staffing vacancies. Payroll is down in those departments. We're working on getting those filled. The pensions and other fringes, that looks way low because our debt service payment for our pension obligation bonds comes due. We pay it we get the bill in May with a June due date. So that's going to be an end of the year type transaction, and that will bring that up. Transfers are during the budget process when we the council approves transfers of operating money to pay for capital items. Those transfers are done in July, so we typically use up pretty much the whole budget by doing those transfers at the beginning of the year. And other agencies, our county tax bill, the payments made to the library, typically those are done on a quarterly basis. The large difference, it's in line with where we expect to be, but the big difference, if you look at last year's, was the timing of the county tax payment.
Any questions on the expenditure side? Council Forney.
No questions, just comments, this is great, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is the second time we've had this done, and I just feel a lot better with it.
Yep.
than reported. So
We will have the second quarter, hopefully, within the next few weeks. Staffing issues in treasury and city clerk have put them behind getting things posted, so I couldn't go through December yet, or it would have been a little skewed. So once those cash sheets and the postings get caught up, we'll do the second quarter and get them on a more regular basis.
All right, thanks. So update on the audit.
And update on the annual audit. For the last couple of years, due to staffing issues on both our side, the auditor side, the audit, as some of the counselors have been on the council for a while have known, has been filed late. We are going to be filing late again this year. Typically in a normal, good, calm year, with our June 30th year end, we would issue financial statements by the end of December. The auditors are actually here again today. They're here this week, working on stuff. We're trying to pull that all together to get to them a finalized copy from our perspective, sometime this month. So I'm hoping that we can look at a February issue date. Last year, we were at March 27th. Don't want to get to March. So we are I was hoping for a January issue date, but most likely we won't get into February, because even if we get everything done, the auditors will need 2 to 3 weeks to do their review, send us final changes, and for us to finish it. So we are working on that as diligently as we can. There's some new GASB pronouncements that we have to roll in that we're looking at as well. But we want to give everyone an update that it is being worked on, and hopefully within the next month and a half at the latest, we will have issued financial statements and a presentation done to the full council by the auditors.
Any questions on the audit? No, thank
Okay.
you, Dave. That's it for finance.
That is it.
Okay.